So now we're going to study levels that are key if you're trading Bitcoin. I personally don't believe in Bitcoin. I do believe in the blockchain and all the opportunities like the internet. Like it's saying, for example, I don't like Facebook. Hey, we all had Facebook, right, at some point. But Facebook as a company can cease to exist and the internet will be just fine. Actually, probably will be better. It's the same with the blockchain and Bitcoin, but it's not really semantics, it's just the structure of understanding the universe and just one planet that may explode after certain years of doing okay. That's a little bit extreme, but that's for you to get an idea. Hey everyone, welcome back to my second video of the day as I share with you all. And this is the Market Surveillance Alliance, where we track day in and day out sort of what Wall Street is doing. It's not only understanding that is the volume coming into a particular contract for a company, either call or put. Also, it's very important to understand what exactly they're doing, why they're doing, and are they buying time? Are they actually selling that contract? That's what we look to figure with our in-house proprietary algorithm. So that's the idea, and that's why you're here. In the next 8 years, it's very important for you as an investor to actually be able to fight the Fed, not because you're going to go against the fact that they are hiking interest rates. It's just understanding that you want to protect your trading account, you want to protect yourself, and you want to protect the future of your family. Because I don't know, maybe Jerome, he doesn't have an IRA Roth or an IRA, and he doesn't care, and he's just going to do whatever it takes. So if he's going to do whatever it takes, you should be doing the same. All right, so let's talk about Bitcoin. So I don't believe in Bitcoin, but there are ways you can trade Bitcoin via the US stock market and the US options market. So first, let's start with the levels. Now, let's take a look at what's happening. This is the massive trend line. This is the orange trend line, the most important trend line that you need to have in mind. So this is support, breakdown, breakout, breakdown, and a massive breakout that combines with the horizontal liquidity resistance that we have all the way back to December of 2017. So Bitcoin so far was doing great. Now, a lot of people bought the dip. El Salvador as a country, genius plan, they did the same. But the reality is that it has the potential to go all the way back to $4,000. I repeat, all the way back to the liquidity support area around $4,000. And that wouldn't be that bad, because from this point, it will give you asymmetric risk. Let me repeat that for you. Asymmetric risk. What is that? How do you eat it? Well, basically, once it gets to this area, and I'm counting the fact that it might go back to 14,000, and that's a point where if you are looking to speculate with some funds, it will start giving you that asymmetric risk. But it will be very powerful down here, because if you buy from 4,000, you actually looking to take $4,000. Let's say you buy 2 coins and you take $8,000. And based on the previous highs, you're looking to multiply your capital, your risk capital, by 14. Let me repeat that. 14 times your money if it happens. So it wouldn't be that bad. The rest of the group will just go to Twitter, social media, and say, well, hodl until whatever. And that's good for you, because it will allow at some point to have some whales come in and buy the massive dip. That will really be by the F dip. So that's very important. So that's just to give you an idea where you actually have the best opportunity. Actually, it's when the odds are in your favor. Now, why is that? For Bitcoin to turn bullish from this area, look at that particular candle. Look at the massive rejection. So remember, that trend line, the orange one, is the most important trend line in Bitcoin. Prices above, bullish. Prices under that one, it's pretty simple, bearish. There's nothing else to discuss. On top of that, you have another factor to count. Factor number 2 in this narrative is the fact that you're trading under the high of 2017. That was actually when it was trading at around $20,000. So if that thing is under that level, that's a strong resistance that became support, and now once again that is becoming resistance. Once you have that open wide range of rotation, bearish rotation, what is going to happen then is if you count the couple months, the high, it was all the way back to 25,000. Then you project that to the downside and it gives you a potential target around 14,600 points for Bitcoin, or $14,600 against the US dollar. That's not new because, as I mentioned on previous technical canvas analysis, it goes all the way back to this liquidity on November of 2020, which, by the way, is just the sort of rotation from previous resistance at 14,000 all the way back to June of 2019. And now that resistance became support, and once again it will become support. It will be a double support based on this sort of like multi-year level. Remember that level, 14,000. And finally, something else to consider: if of course we have a sideways market, it will be very important to understand what happens here, because if it goes sideways, you will have this full range. And we are looking as professional traders or professional investors, you can trade the sideways market. This is where a lot of people get killed, because you don't have that strength either to the upside to buy or either to the downside to short the market. But definitely you're looking for this full area. This will be the full rotation, and whatever it breaks, that's where you will have your next target. Now, I talk a lot about Mike Wilson and his crew at Morgan Stanley. And they do think that there might be a positive flow by the end of the year going into 2023. Well, he expects the economy to accelerate again. That's coming from a guy that has been calling, like Michael Harnett, Bank of America, for a retest around 3,200 points in the S&P 500. Now, remember that Bitcoin becomes, well, actually it is right now a leading indicator as when we think about risk on and risk off. Right now, this is risk off, not good for risk assets, not good for equities. And if it continues, it means that we will probably see new lows. Now, there's a lot of buying the deep. Yeah, there's a lot of buying the deep. And that's because there's a lot of PEs, price earnings, that are looking super attractive. Doesn't mean that they are positive. For example, we have the case of Facebook. Now, ticker name META, Meta. But those can be, a few of those can be value traps, and they can turn into the Oracles or the Adobes of the world. Doesn't mean that there's no value, but when was the last time that the Adobe stock doubled itself? We can always look into that. If I'm making a mistake, always remember to share your view or share a little bit of your data. But the point I want to make, not because it has a very low PE, price earnings, you have to load the boat. That's not the case. You also have that same story with Occidental Petroleum, the oil company that our good friend Warren Buffett has been piling on. So that's just to give you an idea. Pay attention to the PE and really study the company before you actually load the boat. Not because it's a low PE, it means that it would be an easy 100% for your investment account. And finally, like I said, when you look at Bitcoin, these are the opportunities. If you think that this is just gonna continue lower, we are in the house of options for the US stock market. I wanna make sure that if you're in Singapore, if you're in Australia, wherever you are, you can understand how basic it is to speculate and how basic it will be to boost your returns when you learn how to trade options. Now, if we have the ProShares Bitcoin Strategy ETF, it can be very, very useful. And rather than short the market with other leveraged products in Europe, you can go here and give us some time. I'm gonna do a two weeks transaction and look at the volume that we have at 11. So the ETF is trading at 12. And on my previous videos, I share for the last 15 to 20 years, there's a massive amount of marketing out there kind of explaining how and why ETF are the best tool to protect your wealth. Well, what about if you use now ETF to protect, kind of grow your wealth, but protect the wealth as well? So what we're going to do is use the ETF that has exposure to Bitcoin, BITO, that's the ticker. And we're going to open here in quote media, come to the one that has the most volume. And that's just an indication. That doesn't mean that's exactly the best contract, but this is just to give you a quick idea of how to use free data from quotemedia.com. Now look at the volume, right? 11,000. So probably that the open interest went up, and that means that probably this is a buy to open. BTO, buy to open position, and someone is looking for some hedge, some protection, and that will cost you $27. 27, remember, one option contract, 100 shares, that means $27. Now, of course, the high of this was actually 185, so 186. So I will be looking, at least if things go pretty bad for risk assets like the US stock market and Bitcoin, I will be looking at least in the next weeks to double my money, as I will probably, if I get filled around, my fill contract gets around 30-35 cents, I will be looking to sell at 95 to $1.10 based on the contract high. This is very rudimentary. There are tools to calculate this, there are options calculator, but this is just a basic guidance using the information in front of us. So guys, like I said, a lot of opportunities for you. Always, it's the way we can easily find how to protect ourselves installing Disney. But so far, this is what Bitcoin is doing. Remember, always make sure that you understand the risk, never go all in. And as far as Bitcoin, if it ceases to exist, yeah, it will be a big blow. But remember, the big opportunity is the technology. Like the internet was one day for us, I'm pretty sure blockchain will be, once again, a positive development for society. Guys, thank you so much for watching. As usual, make sure you subscribe if you want to have this kind of intel and guidance when it comes to learn how to trade options, basic strategy, buy calls and buy puts. Until then, until my next video, never forget, guys, someone always knows.